Hi there, I'm X King. Welcome back to another episode of From the Archive. Today we are talking about Million Dollar Arm. So, Million Dollar Arm as a film really got started when brothers Neil and Mark Mandit did a kind of documentary about the two pictures that this movie is based off, Rinku and Dinesh, and presented it to producers Mark Sicardi, Gordon Gray, and Joe Roth, and they really liked the idea of making a film about these two pictures and their story. So they brought it to Columbia Pictures, which is part of Sony Pictures, and they really felt like they could get a film off the ground. However, it ended up being shelved for a couple years. It wasn't until 2010 when Sicardi and Roth moved over to Disney that they found a chance to get the film off the ground. They turned to Tom McCarthy for script and Craig Gillespie for direction. And the film was released in 2014. It was a decent success at the box office, making $40 million dollars on a budget of about $25 million. Dollars. The critics were kind of split. They felt that the film was perfectly fine as a cheesy sort of sports movie, but really missed the point of the story of the film and where it should be focusing on the pictures, not the white agent dude that the film ends up focusing on for most of the runtime. Well, what do I think? Let's talk about it. So, Million Dollar Arm follows primarily J.B. Bernstein, a real life agent who made this kind of sort of talent contest in India called Million Dollar Arm, where he would find Indian players who had the potential to become real life starting pitchers in the big leagues. He would basically set this up like America's Got Talent style and bring these pitchers that succeeded to the U.S. for a chance at stardom, basically. And he ended up finding two players, Ringu and Dinesh, played by Suraj Sharma and Madhur Mikkel. I apologize if I mispronounced any of those names, because I probably did. And basically, he found these two guys. These two guys ended up becoming the first major league pitchers to come out of India. And it's based off a real story. This film is not bad. I am kind of a sucker for cheesy sports movies. Like, I find them to be really satisfying, and I just have a lot of fun watching them. That being said, this movie kind of misses the mark. The real interesting story here that could have happened is that they focused on the two guys who become the pitchers. They are really could have been an interesting story focusing on these two underprivileged kids in India who finally get a chance to become something greater than they've ever thought possible. Instead, we focus on J.B. Bernstein and him trying to keep his luxury house and luxury car and luxury life. And I think the reason that is because he's a white English talking guy, so we can sympathize more with him as an audience member, but I think it wouldn't have been a bad idea to focus more on the two pictures. I think that they would have been way more interesting and made the story way more compelling. As it stands, it's fine. I still found some minor enjoyment here, but it's just stuff I've seen in a billion other movies before. That's not helped by the characterization. JB isn't that interesting of a character. He's a guy who wants to just go on dating models and live in his luxury life and doesn't really care about anything he has to do to get to that point until he learns to basically take these two Indian kids in and starts to kind of feel like a father to them, though that film doesn't really make that come across all that well. They just kind of tell us that's what he's trying to do. And then we have the two main guys, Ringu and Dinesh, and they could have been, again, if the film had focused on them, maybe we would have gotten some more interesting character growth there, but it didn't focus on them that much. As soon as we leave India, they just become two different. They become basically the same person. They don't have any discernible personality traits apart from each other. And basically, the differences is one likes Keith Urban, the other one likes Eminem, and I'm not really sure why we didn't focus on them more, as they're the main part of the story, but they're kind of just there and devices to push the film along as opposed to actual people. And that goes for a lot of the characters in this film. It just doesn't feel like any of the characters were developed as well as they possibly could be. Which is a shame because the performances in this movie are actually not bad. John Hamm is a perfectly fine leading man and plays J.B. Bernstein really well. And Suraj Sharma and Mahar Miktal, again, I mispronounce those names like crazy, are both doing fantastic jobs as our main pitchers. And we also have Alan Arkin, who does a fantastic job in this film. I mean, everyone's doing a great job of what they're given. They're just not given anything new to work with, and the film kind of suffers for that. Visually, this film is your everyday sports movie. There's really nothing here that screams different or out of the ordinary. It's shot like every other sports movie you've seen before, and honestly, it doesn't stand out amongst any of them. The score by A.R. Rahman, again, I apologize if I mispronounce that name, is not bad, and the songs he made for this movie aren't bad either. It's just they're not really holding up the movie to any extent. To be honest, this movie tried desperately to be Slumdog Millionaire and just missed what made that movie so good. This film is honestly forgettable. As far as sports movies go, and as far as movies go in general, there's just nothing here. That being said, I still found some minor enjoyment with the overall cheesiness of the topic, and again, these films are a guilty pleasure for me. So, do I think $1 Million Arm is a buy, stream, or avoid altogether? Well, let's talk about the special features. So, the special features on this Blu-ray is a training camp, which goes over what the two actors had to do to train themselves to be pitchers. Their story, which talks more about J.B. Bernstein and the real life pitchers behind the story, and also about what went into making the music with $1 Million Music. And there's also an alternative ending, which isn't really that different from the current ending. Some deleted scenes and some outtakes. So overall, this Blu-ray is pretty standard. There's no commentary, and the making ofs aren't all that in depth. So, to be honest, this film is a stream. There's no reason to have this on your collection. It's a pretty standard watch, but it's still decent enough where I feel like you can get some enjoyment out of watching it on your TV. You can find this at Disney Plus as of this recording. So if you have Disney Plus, yeah, definitely give this a watch. It's perfectly serviceable. Anyway, that's what I thought about $1 Million Arm. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And next week, well, I like to look at bad movies on this show because I like to torture myself occasionally. So we're going to be looking at a bad movie. The Emoji Movie. See you then, folks.